So here I am, it's day 2. And today I find myself wanting to talk about how fear is running my life. Having left my job 6 or 7 months ago, close to 7 months now, wanting to exit the matrix, wanting to genuinely do something that is aligned with my truth. I think a very important topic to mention and to talk about is fear. And I think before anybody says anything about fear, what I'd like to do is understand, what is fear? What am I afraid of? The truth is, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much motivation and enthusiasm I have, there is a barrier. There's like a glass wall, a glass ceiling that I need to break through. And I genuinely believe that's my fear. So I'm afraid of, for some reason, I'm afraid of ruining my life. And I obviously have done the work on myself, a lot of work, and I realize that that is not my own voice. You're going to ruin your life, Julan, because you left an amazing job, you left an amazing career, and you're fumbling to find something meaningful to do. So if you keep on doing this, maybe after a year, maybe after 2 years, you look back and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to go back to that life again. I'm never going to be able to go back to that career again. I'm never going to be able to go back to that job security again. And that scares me a lot. It scares me because I don't have enough faith in myself, because there's a voice in me that constantly says what you're doing is very, very unsafe. So primarily, fear is because I'm genuinely afraid of failure. And when you're afraid of failure, your whole system, your whole body becomes completely paralyzed. You're unable to do things. You're able to do things, but you're fighting against the current. So to counter that, obviously, what do I need to do? I need to relax, settle into the moment. There are so many practices, right? You can run, jog, go to the gym, do yoga, do breath work, talk to motivational friends, go see a therapist, go see a coach, etc. But it all boils down to the fact that you need to have a calm mind to be able to center yourself and gather yourself and to be able to confront that fear head on and to understand where it's coming from. This fear inside of me is so strong. It feels like an octopus with tentacles that is like going all across my bodies, all in my limbs and organs and hands and brain and eyes and legs and toes, everything. And it's just pulling me back. It's like, you can't do this. You're not going to be successful. You can't do this. You're ruining your life. You're ruining your career. And I know for a fact that this is not my voice. This is the voice of my conditioning. This is actually the voice of everyone around me that I love and that I hold dear, because this is what they say to themselves as well. My friends, my family, the people I encounter, it's like this collective energy, this collective unconscious that we cannot see, we cannot feel, we cannot hear, we cannot taste, but we experience in the essence, in our truth. Because we're all connected. No matter what we like to think as human beings, we are all connected into some sort of mainframe where all of our ideas and all of our hidden fears are dancing with each other. And now that I want to wake up, and now that I want to maybe lead a life that is more aligned, I'm not only dancing with my own fears, I'm dancing with the fears of the collective. And that is a very difficult thing and scary thing to do. But the first way out of this situation is to actually realize what's happening. There is no rational reason for me to be this afraid. There is no rational reason for me to think these thoughts, and yet I think them. Maybe because I'm spending a lot of time with people that think this way. Maybe because I'm in a city where 99% of people think this way. Maybe because I'm not doing enough practices to disconnect and reconnect with source, or reconnect with something that is more aligned with my truth. But the fact of the matter is, here I am in a city that thrives on commerce and business and hustling and money and success, quote unquote. Here I am trying to exit the matrix, and this fear is numbing me. It's paralyzing me. It's keeping me from taking a step forward, even the most simple of steps. There's something very interesting that I would like to mention. In Amazonian, I think, and Native American also tradition, they say that fear is actually a pedestal. It's actually a rite of passage. The only way to move forward beyond your fear is to actually dissolve your ego. Because all of our egos are just memories. We are memories. We're made of memories. And for me to move beyond that fear, my memories need to be recalibrated. Something needs to happen to them. And once I move beyond it, then there's no coming back. And I always am remembering that movie where Tom Hanks basically is He's stranded on an island, castaway, and he needs to go beyond that barrier reef where there are so many waves coming in, and he's so afraid. He's not able to. He tries, he builds a raft, and he's constantly not able to get beyond those big waves. And once you're beyond those big waves, then obviously it's the open ocean. And whether you're capable of surviving in the open ocean or not is another conversation. You'll never know before you take that step. So in a sense, yes, I'm very afraid. I'm afraid of taking this step. I'm afraid of jumping into a world where I say that I'm leaving the matrix, where I say that I want to do work that is more aligned. Maybe I'd like to make money from creating content. Maybe I'd like to start my own educational startup. Maybe I'd like to be an activist. Maybe I'd like to be a writer. Maybe I'd like to be a novelist. I don't know. I have so many interests and so many passions, and I have not been able to explore any of these for all of my life. And here I find myself trying to do all of these things, and it's difficult because the system does not help us to do such a thing. For most people in the world, failure is not an option. The cost of failure is very high. What can we do? If we fail, I don't have proper social security. I don't have a country maybe that where I can go to and just be safe, live out of my parents' garage. That is not an option for me to do. And so these are things that we genuinely think of on a daily basis, and they make me afraid. But I also know that the best way to counter this fear is to talk about it, is to make myself aware of it, and is to push through. I'm only going to be able maybe to try this once in my life. And if I'm going to succumb because my whole body is psychosomatically, like somatically my body is fighting back, I cannot succumb now. It is difficult. It is hard. It is scary. It is physically draining, but we have to move forward. I have to move forward, because if I don't, I will always ask myself for the rest of my life, what if you tried a bit harder? What if you spent one more day? What if you gave yourself a little bit more of a chance? And what I'm trying to achieve is actually very easy. I'm not really trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm very capable, very skilled, very intelligent, very smart, very blessed with so many talents. What I'm fighting against is myself. I'm not fighting against the world. I'm not fighting against my capability to actually live a life that is more aligned and make money doing things that I love. I'm fighting against myself because there is that barrier reef, those waves that I need to just cross so that I can enter the open sea. I'm fighting against my own fears, my own conditioning, the voices in my head. Some of them are my voices. Some of them are voices of people around me. Some of them are voices of the collective. This trauma that's embedded inside of us, inside of our genes, inside of our collective unconscious, the trauma of failing, the trauma of poverty, the trauma of chaos, the trauma of being disenfranchised and disconnected from society if you walk a path that's more aligned. That is what I am up against. And I'm not saying I'm special. I'm saying that is what anybody would be up against if they wanted to live a life that is more aligned. So all of this journey until now, honestly, in the past 6 or 7 months, all of this journey has been an internal journey. Of course, I've tried to do so many things. I've worked on a book. I've worked on an online course. I've worked on a podcast. I've worked on a business idea for like an online training advocacy group. And I've made a lot of progress on so many different fronts. But it feels the reason I'm doing these things is not necessarily because these are the things that I will be doing or need to be doing. The reason I'm doing these things is because I somehow need to break through conditioning that is within me. So when I go and write a book, I challenge myself and I put myself out there and I publish the book. And if the book fails, then that's fine because I accept failure and I'm not afraid of it. And I start this podcast or this online course and I market it. And if nobody wants to do it, then that's fine as well because I put my work out there. So in a sense, the best antidote to fear is to no longer be afraid of failure. And that is not something cerebral. That is not something we say in our mind. That is something that has to be a lived experience. And everyone around you is uncomfortable with that. You are definitely uncomfortable, but everybody around you is going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to get the support that you expect to get because you're doing something that is uncomfortable for the collective. Can we be comfortable with failure? Can we genuinely be comfortable with failure? Can we embrace it? Can we run towards it? Even if we're going to look like fools, even if we're going to look like amateurs, even if there's a voice in our head telling us that we're ruining our lives and doing this means that there's no coming back. The stakes seem high only because the voice in our head tells us that the stakes are high. But in reality, it's all just an illusion. It's quite simple to break through all of this and all of this fear if you're able to see that it's just an illusion. Everything we tell ourselves about what it means to succeed, everything we tell ourselves about what it means to live a successful, quote-unquote, life, when we see through that illusion, everything we tell ourselves, the horrible things we tell ourselves, the horrible outcomes that we warn ourselves about that are unrealistic, if we're able to see through those things as illusions, we're able to connect with a space within us that is just calm and centered and grounded, then there is no more room for fear. There's just room for presence. And this probably will be the most exciting and scary experiment of my life, because I'm trying to be as critical as I can about the things that I do, because I don't want to be making things up and I don't want to be living in la la land. And I really appreciate that quality about myself, because I'm trying to be as pragmatic as I can to make sure that I'm not creating a fantasy world or bypassing. So I genuinely say to myself, it's either that I am an absolute fool and idiot to be saying the things I'm saying and trying the things that I'm trying, or I'm genuinely am onto something great, something extremely worthwhile. And honestly, in a moment like this, I can only hope and pray that it's the latter, not the former. So I leave you, whoever in the world might be watching this until this point, I leave you with a hope, a shared hope that we can break free together. And breaking free doesn't mean necessarily leaving the 9 to 5. Breaking free is something that happens within us so that we can live a life that is more aligned, whether we're in a 9 to 5, whether we have our own gig or work going on, or whether we're a monk meditating in a cave somewhere far away. It doesn't matter. That is my hope and wish for myself and for anybody watching this video as well. Much love.